Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode. In a few, I'll be joining the United Nations Avenue right here in Nairobi. It is right here on my left. And I'm told that this is not your ordinary village avenue. Foremost, it is home to the only United Nations office outside the United States and Europe. For your information, UNEP is the only UN offices in the Southern Hemisphere. And the good news, the offices are along this road. I hope you can see some tall trees on my right. That's about some 50 meters from here. The offices are right there. And right opposite is the Embassy of the United States. Of course, I'll not be filming the two offices for security reasons. And number two, it is not our destination. Because as the title suggests, today I want to take you to Runda Estate. Of course, it is not far from here. We'll be getting there in a few. In fact, the main barrier to the estate is only a few yards from here. And one thing that I want you to note is that Runda is one of the most affluent neighborhoods here in Nairobi. And so expect to see some of the most beautiful houses here in Africa. I'll also be giving you the house prices, either rent or buying price. I want to take you around the neighborhood and see whether it is worth its salt. I will also be giving you some statistics about the neighborhood, its historical backgrounds, and how the United Nations offices here influenced its growth. Like for instance, do you know that Runda Estate started as a coffee plantation? And that the estate sits on a vast 600 acres piece of land? I will also be taking you to one of the villages neighboring Runda, a ghetto by the name Githogoro, later in the video. So stay put and watch the video until the end. But before then, let me take this opportunity to welcome you to our YouTube channel, Village to Town TV, a channel that is dedicated to continue showcasing beautiful villages, towns, and cities across the continent of Africa. If you are new here, or if you have been watching us and you have not yet subscribed, please take your time and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is absolutely free of charge and will take about a second of your time, but it means a lot to us. And so just take the next 3 seconds and press the subscription button in 3, 2, 1. Now back to the video. It is a beautiful Saturday evening and Mr. Lone Traveler is having a good time right here in Runda Estate. I can see the road is quite nice. There's no traffic. And for your information, the road was upgraded to a dual carriageway just recently. And so far, I don't know what you think about the estate, although you have not gotten to the heart of it. But as you can see, it is a leafy suburb. The environment, the road, in short, everything is super nice. And there's a smell of old money all over the place. I know most old-timers can distinguish between old money and new money. Now, this is old money. You can even see the kind of cars on the road. And of course, you are yet to see anything because we'll be going to the residential area in a few seconds. And you'll see what big money can get you right here in Africa. As you can see, the United Nations Avenue runs in the heart of Runda. The estate is on both my left and right. Of course, I'm looking for a road that will take me right in the heart of the estate. We want to see how the rich lives. And I hope you can see a flyover right in front. That is the Nairobi Northern Bypass, which connects the small towns of Roka on my left to Ruiru on my right. But right now I'll be turning right There's a small road that will take me to the heart of the estate. You can see the road is super nice and well maintained. Well, history goes that the stretch of land that is between the present-day Kiambu Road and Limuru Road, which literally is where Runda is, was once an expansive coffee plantation which was established in the early 1900s. Remember, this is during the colonial era, and the founders of these vast coffee plantations were two Frenchmen who went by the name Felix Pyat and Jules Favre. Well, the plantation was later bought by an Englishman, that is in the 1950s, and he named it Cheleta Farm, which the locals pronounce as Sheleta. Well, I'm quite sure that's a common name among old-timers. I've heard it before, since most people who grew up in Nairobi and the lower part of Kiambu used to pick coffee cherries in these farms for a living. And so if you know this kind of history, or you participated in this economic activity, you can tell us right on the comment section below. Just share your experience and we will appreciate. Well, the ownership of the land also changed again in the 1960s when it was sold to 3 coffee cooperatives that renamed it Runda Coffee Estate. And right in 1971, My Properties purchased Runda Coffee Estate for housing development. It is also good to note that the company was co-founded by 3 people, and one of them was Eliud Madhu, a prominent African politician of the time, and 2 brothers, Andrew Zagoreti and Elias Zagoretis. Well, you have some fancy names right there. But these 3 guys did something interesting between 1972 and 80 as they constructed the first phase of Runda, which is now referred to as Old Runda. Well, the new estate had 50 houses, which were set on 1 or 2 acres of land. And immediately after completion, United Nations employees quickly occupied these residences, and the demand for more houses set in. Well, since then, other phases of Runda have been constructed, and that's why there are so many estates right in this neighborhood. To start with, we have the old Runda, which I told you about about a minute ago. We also have the new Runda Estate that was developed in 1988 by the Kenya Commercial Bank, KCB. We also have Runda Mimosa, Runda Evergreen, and Runda Mumwe. Anyway, as you can see, I'm on my way to other residential area here in Runda. Of course, I want to show you some of the most beautiful mansions as I give you their price range, so you can see whether you can afford a house here. You can also compare the prices to where you live and see whether Runda is worth the hassle. And as I told you, the entire estate covers a vast 600 acres of land. It also neighbors Karura Forest on the south, which is one of the biggest forests here in Nairobi, the capital of Kenya. And I'm told that the forest offers nature trails that allows residents to enjoy a walk, a run, or a bike ride. And so you can see the kind of neighborhood it is, Runda. And I'm told that the estate hosts some of Kenya's most elite citizens, including politicians, ambassadors, top-ranking businessmen, and blue-chip CEOs. And so if you are watching this video from outside the country and you plan to move to Kenya someday, or you're just an ambitious kid who plans to live in one of the leafy suburbs of Nairobi, don't think of any other place. And believe me, you. Sini mimi nakusho. Aye. I know that is the most Kenyan way of providing evidence. And in terms of social amenities, The estate is well endowed. In fact, it has some of the top international schools in the country, and one of them is the Porterhouse School, which follows the British national curriculum. There is also the Brookhouse School of Runda, Sabis International School, and the Kenya's Teachers Training College. Also, the Village Market, which is one of the oldest shopping malls in the country, is in the neighborhood. The Two Rivers Mall, which is the biggest in East and Central Africa, is located in Ruaka, which is a walking distance from here. The estate is also not very far from the city center. In fact, it is estimated to be 12.5 kilometers from Nairobi City. But to get to the estate, you will need a private means of transport. Well, Runda is also one of the most regulated neighborhoods in the country. You just don't move here or move out at will. You have to be approved by the resident organization in writing. In fact, one of the rules is that no one should move in or out on a weekend. And those of you who use these roads, I'm sure you know that no trucks or pickups are permitted to pass here on weekends. Another interesting regulation about this area that I found to be quite interesting is that if you're moving in or out on a weekday, you have to do it during the day. And that is after getting the approval of the Residents Association. That's quite interesting, as most Kenyans, especially those living in low-income neighborhoods and slums, like moving out at night. I don't know the motivation behind that, but it is the case across the country. And if you happen to know the reason, you can tell us down on the comment section below, and we'll appreciate. Also, you can tell us what you think about these rules and regulations about Runda Estate. Are they worth it, or they are too much? And whether you will consider living here. But before you share your thoughts about whether or not you would love to live here, I think it will be fair if I share the prices, both for renting and buying properties. Because I'm told that in this part of the world, pockets speak louder than emotions or wants. Okay, let's take us straight to the real estate segment. And if you want to rent a house here in Runda, the prices range from 220,000 Kenya shillings to 550,000 Kenya shillings. That is per month. And if you were to convert that into the mighty dollars, that's about between 2,000 and 5,000 US dollars. That is per month. And remember, most houses here have more than 5 bedrooms. In fact, these houses are quite sizable. And in case you want to buy a property here, prices in Runda ranges from 36 million up to 1.4 billion Kenya shillings. Yes, you heard me right. 1.4 billion. I don't even know how much is that in terms of dollars. But if you are interested, you can do some quick maths. $1 is about 130 Kenya shillings. That's the street rate. And remember, there are a series of factors that determines the prices of these properties. And one of these factors is the location, as some properties are just next to the main highway. Another factor is the size of the house. Some houses are quite big and modern, while others are quite old and a bit smaller in size. While some properties are built in a vast piece of land, some measuring up to 2 acres, especially those in Old Runda. while others are just in a quarter of an acre, which is 100 by 100. And remember, as I told you earlier, in order to relocate to this area, you are required to have a pass from the Runda Residents Welfare Association. It is also good to know that Runda hosts the biggest number of ambassadors in the country. In fact, it is estimated that at any one time, about 20 ambassadors and high commissioners do reside in Runda. Well, in terms of security, because of Runda's proximity to the United Nations and the American Embassy, the region is kept under heavy security. In fact, Runda Police Station is right in the middle of the estate. There is also Gigiri Police Station, which is near the UNEP. And of course, this kind of security offers comfort and elegance to homeowners. I want to quickly check out the numbers before we go out of the estate. Remember, I told you that in a few, we'll be hitting the neighboring slum of Githogoro. In fact, it is not far from here. It's about a minute or so. We'll be there. And to start with, Runda is in an administrative ward that goes by the name Karura, of course named from the Karura forest, and it has a total population of 24,714 people. 13,034 are men, while 11,678 are women. And in terms of the households, there are 8,512 households in the entire area. In terms of the population density, there are 1,035 people living in a square kilometer, while the total area is about 23.9 kilometers squared. So far, I hope you can see that we are approaching a small civilization, and this is Githogoro slums. You can see it's just a walking distance from Runda Estate, and most old-timers like referring to it as a Runda B, just to relate the slum to the rich neighborhood. Also, in a few seconds, we'll be hitting the northern bypass. But before then, let me give you some more numbers. And remember, Karura Ward is in Westlands constituency, which is one of the 17 constituencies in Nairobi, Kenya. And this constituency has a total population of 308,854 people, with an annual population growth of 2.3%. And in terms of the population density, Westlands has 3,168 people living in a kilometer squared. And remember, I said that 1 kilometer squared is equals to 250 acres of land. Also, in terms of gender distribution, women account for 50.2%, while men are about 49.8%. In terms of the intersex, there are only 15 in the entire constituency. Well, let me leave it at that. Of course, I'll be going deep in Githogoro slums, so check out for our next video. And if you have watched this far, it means that you somehow like what we are doing. So kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel, Village to Town TV, like the video so that it can be recommended to as many people as possible, and smash the notification bell so that every time we post, you'll be among the first few people to be notified. Thank you.